to go. Well, for those listening online, my name is John Bartlett, and thank you everybody for being willing to sit in and listen to the speech. Go ahead and pan around so we know that I have all 5 audience members. Anyways, today I will be discussing a powerlifting competition. I am not a powerlifter myself, but in my fitness endeavors, I have explored powerlifting, and I've enjoyed it a lot. It's a very popular sport worldwide. It is actually included in the Olympics, so it's got a large fan base. But I know that you may not necessarily partake in powerlifting, each and every one of you, but I would just basically like to go through the basics of a powerlifting competition and what it entails, as well as the 3 main exercises performed in a powerlifting competition, which actually in order are squat, bench, and deadlift, and what are the basic regulations of those. So in a competition, each competitor will perform a squat, then a bench, and then a deadlift. And those are not back-to-back. They could be spaced out however long or however large the event is. You know, in a much larger event, you could have hours in between each lift, or in a very small one, you could have one person in between each one. But as the order goes traditionally, you perform the squat first, and then the bench, and then the deadlift. So, keeping in that order, I guess let's examine the squat first. Traditionally, as you'd see it in an Olympic event, you have a rack, and you'll stand underneath the barbell, and you'll walk back out from underneath the rack, and you will wait until the referee says proceed, and you will then drop down into a squat, stand back up. Many have opinions and their own ideas of what a proper depth is, but according to the International Powerlifting Federation, a proper squat is dropping the top of the hip below the top part of the knee. So if you were to squat and meet regulations, you would drop down. You can almost see my back rounding. You want to find that happy medium where the top of the hip would drop below the knees and raise back up. This is all regulated by a referee, and he will give you proceed as you will squat a command, and then after rising back up and locking your legs, he will say re-rack the weights, and that will let you know as a competitor when you've performed the lift. So it's probably the most technical of lifts. It has the most rules, regulations going into it, and it may be the most difficult. Then moving into the second lift, there's the bench press, which, an interesting rule, you can have your hands no wider than 81 centimeters apart. This is not 81 centimeters, I'm only using it as a demonstration. But the benefits of moving your hands up to 81 centimeters apart is it obviously shortens your range of motion. As you move your hands wider apart, it also engages the chest muscles more than the arms and the triceps, and so many powerlifters prefer to keep their hands wider in order to basically shorten the lift, make it an easier attempt. And so as you perform the lift, the judge will tell you to unrack the weight, in which you'll do it with arms locked. He will tell you to lower, where you will pause on your chest for no specific duration. That's a very ambiguous time. As long as the referee determines that he would like you to pause on your chest, you will wait until he says press, where you'll press up until locked elbows, and he will tell you to re-rack the weight. And it's a pretty basic lift. Again, the ambiguity of the pause can sometimes be difficult for some to get used to if they're not used to pausing on their chest for a long time. But it's probably the most recognizable lift in our culture today, and so one that many focus a lot of effort onto. And then finally, if you were to compete in a powerlifting competition, you would move on to the deadlift, which is easily the most simple, fairly brutish, if I may say so as well. You will have a barbell on the ground, and simply you walk up to it, and whenever you would feel like proceeding, you may proceed. You reach down, grab the bar, and lift it up into a locked position. Once completed the locked position, The referee will tell you to lower the barbell and you will do it. The only really rule in regards to deadlifting is once you start moving, you cannot stop. And you must proceed up. And if you were to have a hitch, that would count as your attempt, and you would either pass or fail. So I understand that powerlifting kind of has this culture and this nature of, lots of guys who eat whole packages of Oreos for, their post-dinner snack, and it's only the big guys at the gym that are banging and clanging around a lot of weights. But in my experience, it's a lot of fun. In the International Federation of Powerlifting, women compete, men compete, all the way up to in their 60s, as early as middle 20s, and so it's a sport I encourage everyone to at least take a gander at. It's fun, it improves strength, and I hope that as I've been talking tonight, you were able to learn a little more about it and maybe have a little more appreciation for the sport. So thank you very much.